Welcome to study session 6. Emotions. Introduction. The word emotion includes a wide range of observable behaviors, like when you express feelings and changes in the state of your body. The diversity of the intended meanings of the word emotion makes it hard to study. For you as a human, emotions are very personal states difficult to define or to identify except in the most obvious instances. Even simple emotional states appear to be much more complicated than states as hunger and thirst, as you must have noticed. In this study session, you will learn about emotion, categories of emotion, and components of emotion. Learning outcomes. At the end of this study session, you should be able to 1. Define the term emotion. 2. Highlight the categorization of emotion. 3. Discuss the components of emotion. Emotion. The word emotion includes a broad repertoire of perceptors, expressions of feelings and bodily changes. To clarify the concept of emotions, 3 definitions of various aspects of emotions can be distinguished. Emotion is a state of psychological arousal, an expression or display of distinctive somatic and autonomic responses. This emphasis suggests that emotional states can be defined by particular constellations of bodily responses. Specifically, these responses involve autonomously integrated visceral organs like the heart or stomach. This second aspect of emotion allows us to examine emotion in both animals and human beings. Categorization of emotion. Emotions are actions commonly deemed such as defending or attacking in response to a threat. This aspect of emotion is especially relevant to Darwin's point of view of the functional roles of emotion. He said that emotions had an important survival role because they generated actions to dangerous situations. Wilhelm Wundt, the great 19th century psychologist, offered the view that emotions consist of 3 basic dimensions, such as listed below: pleasant, unpleasantness; tension, release; excitement, relaxation. Plutchik suggests that there are 8 basic emotions grouped in 4 pairs of opposites: joy, sadness; acceptance, disgust; anger, fear; surprise, anticipation. Basic emotional states are innate. Ekman and Friesen, 1971, observed that there are 6 universal emotions. These are listed below: happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, disgust. Components of emotions. We all have them, and yet most of us can't explain them. Do people really know why they have them, when they have them, how to control them, and so on? Like so many other aspects of our psychological makeup, emotions are comprised of several components. 1. Cognitive level. This is the label or name associated with the emotion. One key aspect of emotions, according to Woodworth and Schilsberg, is that we have perceptions of them that usually ranges from pleasantness, unpleasantness, and weak, strong. This is the level of activation. So we perceive our emotions as having some level of pleasantness and strength. For example, if your boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with you, you experience some type of emotion like sadness. Then you experience this emotion along the pleasantness and strength dimensions. If you love this person, you may experience sadness that is very unpleasant and intense. Usually, research on emotions involves a person's subjective report of an experience. Aside from all the normal problems associated with self-report data, there are a few others that occur with self-report measures of emotions. There are over 400 words in the English language that refer to emotions. So how do we know exactly what is meant? How do we operationalize when someone says, for example, they feel sad? What does that mean compared to all the other words? People can't turn emotions on and off, so control over these for study is very difficult. As we know, emotions involve some types of personal evaluations that normally ranges from pleasant to unpleasant. However, we may have experiences that involve both. For example, getting a promotion equals more money, but also more responsibility and more time away from other activities. So there are both pleasant and unpleasant emotions associated with this one experience. 2. Physiological level emotions are accompanied by physiological arousal, usually at an autonomic level. They are involuntary or automatic. For example, have you ever had the experience of being in a car when it spins out of control on an icy road? Almost instantly upon the car hitting off track, you experience an increase in heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, your pupils dilate, and so on. This occurs at some level with all emotions. The systems involved with this activity are 1. Central nervous system, limbic system and cortex. 2. Peripheral nervous system, somatic and autonomic, sympathetic and parasympathetic, but often very physiological changes are too small to notice. In these cases, we rely on 1. Galvanic skin responses. This measures fluctuations in electrical conductivity of the skin that occur when sweat glands increase activity. 2. Polygraph, that is light detector, used to measure the subtle variations in muscle tension, heart rates and so on associated with emotions that occur very subtly. Behavioral level, non-verbal expressions. Very often, organisms communicate without words. They may rely on smiling, frowning, clenching their fists, turning their backs, and so on. Thus, we may communicate emotions non-verbally through body language. One of the most influential and important researchers in the field of emotions is Ekman. Here are a couple of examples from Ekman's work. Ekman showed photos of people and asked them to identify what emotion was being expressed in these photos. He found that people from different cultures could recognize common facial features. For example, smiling as a sign of happiness. He found 7 basic emotions most often identified from photos of facial expressions: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, and contempt. He also indicated that the use of facial expressions to communicate seems to be innate. People who have been blind from birth make similar facial expressions. Study session summary. In this study session, you have learned that 1. Emotion includes a broad repertoire of perceptions, expressions of feelings, and bodily changes. Emotion is also a state of psychological arousal, an expression or display of distinctive somatic and autonomic responses. The popular categorization of emotion by Ekman and Frazen, 1971, observed that there are 6 universal emotions, which are happiness, sadness, fear, anger, and surprise. The lecture also discussed emotions in terms of the cognitive, physiological, and behavioral components. We have come to the end of study session 6. Thank you.